Here's an interesting take on a well-established devil's advocate for the well-established devil's advocate for the well-established devil's advocate. This is a devil's advocate for a well-established understanding, or per se understanding of dating in the modern world. I'm going to be contrary and talk about why dating, and I'm going to put this on an interesting twist that's making it creative. This is why dating should be your first, at least be your first purpose in life. Now, so you'll look anywhere, any encounter you had, and like, oh, this is the Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, whatever you call it. This is gonna give me a lot of dislikes. Oh my god. Basically, in the understanding, or per se, quote unquote, understanding of the world, is that you should work, like, there's so many fields of this, like, not even just nofap and C retention, not even just bassfzz, xerces. I talked about one creator who did this before, as he's been meaning to make content about Hamza and other red pill and black pill creators, which he kind of already did with all his other friends. So like, good on xerces for that. Good on I'm not gonna edit this. Good on James Vons Maxwell, Human, RP Tokyo, all these other people who happen to make content about dating life, even without making that their niche. But like, you know, so yeah, it's just I can link bassfzz in this video if I can, but it's just, so again, the title for this video should be why dating should be your first purpose in life. And it's like, the way I see it is that there's a whole game that I can get into this, where it's like, what sources I draw this information from, where I kind of get the idea that I should be contrary in the midst of all the advice I manifest in the meantime. Shout out to Rachel Lop, I'm not an astrologer. All the manifestations I get from my journey, where I'm getting all this advice about why I should grind on my purpose and be single and enjoy my singlehood, and grind on my purpose and stay on the path and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, you know, I happened to be single the whole time since turning 25, and that was the years that 20 to 25 where Captain Sinbad's like, oh, you should be single at least until 25, and then maybe longer, so that you can work on yourself and your goals. And I'm like, okay, yeah, Nickel, okay, but so you got people like me who want to be devil's advocate because they know things like why it would still be worth it, even if I'm not supposed to push this to anyone else. I mean, I would rather push this as suggestions. I don't have to be like I know something that you don't. Everyone knows something that everyone else doesn't. That's the only advice I had to give at that point, not being braggy. Like, but that's the point I would give for being a contrary devil's advocate. So again, and like I said that's the first time, but well, so I'm gonna try two things in this video. I'm gonna try to give my own examples of why I think is worth it for it, and I'm gonna try to explain what I mean by it being a first purpose. So I don't know which one to start with, but I think it's like, the examples I would give are things like the advice I've been given, however rare it is, rare to minimal or none, is that compared to all the advice I've ever gotten about being single or avoiding dating or anything like that, advice I've happened to get, as lucky as I've been getting this advice, is that you'll never be completely prepared for dating, and there are reasons to date that even singlehood won't give you context for. It's like, singlehood can't give you too much context for things that, even if you're not supposed to, you're technically, as much as you are supposed to look for the answers from within, or if you actually would have a better life on your own and all that. But and the other examples I've gotten from other people, which are like things like, oh, love is fake, or as long as love isn't immature, then go for it, or oh, why are you trying to pressure yourself into something that you don't have to do? And that's the generation's dilemma there. But you know, I'm gonna just mention her name right off the bat. My non-leather life, Victoria, and this is not me sipping for that kind of content, but it's like, she puts this perspective that, as I just started saying earlier, you're never 100% ready to be in a relationship. Technically, the argument that he's being put into that place is okay, fine, but at least be a little bit more ready, or at least try to find out the core root of your issues, which I can get behind. But it's like, but what she was getting to was, especially with people like me, it was like, you're never going to be 100% ready for relationships. There are things that you will actually be able to consider and pursue healthily in a relationship that you can actually learn from, and that you can, and even the things that are not as fortunate, you can learn a lot from relationships. Not to spite singlehood, but like it's like there are things you can learn from relationships, even in the legal, ethical, monetary routes, as he may have literally told me, people like me. But it's like as I'm being brainwashed by the insecure ladies. Oh no, I shouldn't have said that. Oh no, maybe I should edit that out. Okay, whatever. I don't think she'll mind if she knows what I'm talking about at this point. But like, if people like that knew, but it's but I'm sure that's what some people think of this video. So I'm talking like that, but that was her input. Was that it was there are things you can get from relationships that you don't have to consider right away. There are ways you can do those relationships without being an asswit. You can actually do this without actually being a plate spinner, without having to go into hardcore pathways in life like red pill, black pill, other ways that this can be verbalized on the internet, and then and there's other examples I make with this. So I'm gonna draw one example from the in defense of singlehood, and one of them was filling your own cup. Another one was this is a rebuttal, but filling your own cup. Nikhil, Captain Sinbad also had other good ones about this, but it was like, for another rebuttal, if I can draw one from what his friend said, like his friend from the podcast, the Damaged Man podcast. His friend said something like, or maybe just Nikhil himself. I think Nick just said like, be someone that you would respect. I don't even remember if I'm sorry this right. Like, be someone that you would respect, so that if you did date someone, that you didn't have to have too much luggage. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. But it's like Nick had some gems in his recent videos when he stopped making the podcast for a while. He had some gems on the singlehood, getting out of a rut. That's not even really the dating, but whatever. Yeah. So, and Jordan Green had has plenty of videos on dating, not just people like bassfzz who aren't a nofap. Technically, I wouldn't if I want to cancel myself by saying, "Ooh, is Xerxes an addict to the PMO?" I would get so in trouble for that. Oh my gosh. But people have actually questioned Kenny from Ken the Stall for being a potential addict, but like, no, it's like, I don't even, I think the good people question that about him, but like the good friends people have questioned that. But he's literally getting good at being a better, more positive person over time. It's just a long struggle, so his content's really good at that point. But Jordan Green, as much content as he's made about dating and as well as self-improvement in general, he put out there that you have to work on yourself in order to be ready for a relationship, with or without one. And that's the gamut of what he covers most of the time for his self-improvement and esque-wise singlehood journey stuff. So it's like, yeah. Those are two main rebuttals that make my point weakened already. So let me try buffing it back up. Let's not be Emmett from Lego Movie right now. First one. So here's my counter argument to that. Is that I don't know if I can make this too direct. To counter Jordan's point, which I just said was that he would say, and I was gonna make this direct anyway, so whatever. But I'll just skip to 12 minutes in this video if I don't edit this. For me to figure this out, I called it. Skip to 12 minutes. It's 2 minutes away. So Let me think for this. And if it's not there, then if I'm early, then fine. But you like enjoy my thought processes? Jordan, what I said Jordan said was, what did I say Jordan said? This isn't even one heck of a video. I haven't even tried to make experiments yet. Okay. Okay, we got this. We got a minute and a half to figure this out. Jeez. Let's get past that real quick. Okay, forget the counter argument. I know that's gonna weaken the argument than it already is, but let's get past that. Let's go into why I think you should have your first purpose be about dating relationships. So Hamza expanded into and I know people don't believe in Hamza's content as much. Maybe not even I do anymore. But then again, what I'm talking about reflects a little bit of that anyway. So like Hamza and even Rob Mulder got into the part where it's like, and Rob Mulder will kind of compliment Hamza in a good way without being too clingy to that. I guess you know what I mean. Like, because Rob will explain what Hamza's into, and like with the video games detox, the social media detox, all that other stuff. When Hamza talks about why dating should be the purpose you have in your life, at least for the time being, which is a little bit what I'm talking about here, he means that there's a way to technically trust your biological counterpart. There's not really that, but like you can have that kind of a segue. I can make this analogy for a reason. In storytelling and screenplay writing, when you actually make a story, when you direct a story, and you're creating the script, it's okay to have the ending made first, so that you have something to work towards with the beginning and middle. The same thing with dating relationships. See where I'm going with this? When you have dating as a purpose, you can have that to work towards or with, while you find out what your actual Jordan Green style purpose will be. And then it's going to come to that point when you've already had something to work with you the whole time, so that you weren't technically wasting that time without having to be hard on yourself. You have something to work with the dating purpose, and then you can change that to the purpose that was cliched to be the purpose that makes you an admirable self-improvement, singlehood, grinding on your purpose kind of person. Staying on the path person. It's kind of like that. But Hamza means it like where you can just have dating as a purpose, and then you can work with anything else in the meantime. If that never changed, that's still okay. It doesn't make you any worse of a person. When Rob Mulder explains Hamza's points, when he explains like, oh, because Hamza's someone who knows what it's like to avoid video games the whole time, or at least start avoiding them after a period of time, and then what it's like to detox of social media. When Hamza talks about the intricacies of, okay, never mind, whatever. When Rob talks about how Hamza talks about, here it comes with the thinking again. Basically, Rob will talk about how Hamza explains this pretty well, especially even including with dating. It's like, I don't know if he ever got to that part about the dating video. I don't know if he ever covered that one, but if Rob did. But so the last emphasis I'll make on this somewhat self-admittedly scrambled video is that my own reasoning for why dating should be your first purpose in life is a little bit similar to Hamza's point and Rob Mulder's coverage of that point, if he ever did. Is that it does admittedly give you, confessingly, it gives you a buffer to figure out what your self-improvement clique style purpose will be, if that matter. But I also think, and this is one last point I'll make based on my own personal experiences with women and my lack thereof of a dating experience, which I should have mentioned at the beginning of this video. Technically, it's this one encounter I had with one of my friends, which I did have a crush on, and she, and okay, not the encounter itself, but not the encounters themselves, but like the way she worded this in other commutes, and she said that she says this as it, and there's plenty of grips I have with people like this, but it's like she says this particular point as if it's already been known, and this is one of the biggest issues I have with it particularly, was that she would act like people knew things when they actually could have been having the opportunity in the first place. Like, there are things that she assumed people knew when she doesn't even give them the opportunity to know them, like to understand, to problem solve those things. And so that was the issues I had with that. But that's just a nitpick with that. She says in this other commute that she never managed to get into a relationship because, well, she never ended up in a relationship because she never technically preferred them. Hidden hearsay. She never ended up in a relationship because all the people who were into her never were good enough. Or not. She didn't say it like that, but it was like that she never got into a relationship because for some reason she was never into the guys who liked her, and that she never happened to prefer it anyways. But that, and this is the big kicker here, is that she goes to say that they happen to be immature, but more than that, that the people that were into her were not only technically immature, but that the people that she would have thought about getting into a relationship with, if she thought about it, did not prioritize relationships as their main priority. And yeah, so to rephrase that, the way she says this is that the way she says is that what she saw in the immaturity of the people who pursued her, there was a maturity and an intelligence aspect in other men on her campus. But those people, without having to even engage with them, also happen to not prioritize relationships as their purpose. And so my counter argument to that, my way of understanding that, while taking that in, my way of countering that point is saying, yes, there literally, statistically, are people who do not prioritize relationships. And that could be in either the minority or the majority. I don't even know which one is which anymore for a lot of these things. But like how many people are ambitious versus normalcy living lifestyles. There are plenty of people you can get into with like, oh, these people want to be ambitious. I just want to live a normal simple life. And I'm like, dude, I don't have to be emotional about that, but it gets to me a little bit sometimes, maybe. And then there's like, oh, we're here for an above mediocrity lifestyle. We're not here to be simple livers. We're here to reach for the stars, and all those other perspectives. Same thing with dating relationships. I think it's like, I don't know which one's in the minority and majority. What I do know is that my argument would be, yes, there are people who do not prioritize relationships. They don't make it their number one priority to go in the dating market versus what they could prioritize in the meantime. Even that didn't have anything to do with their purpose in the first place. Their main purpose for self-improvement, whatever they're doing, grinding on the purpose. My argument is that it's not supposed to be implied. Well, first of all, it's not supposed to be implied and contextual as if that's supposed to be universally understood. Anyone can misunderstand that. Anyone could not even know what that even is and be like, oh, but really, like, you know what I mean? It's like, why does that have to be a point? Like, is that supposed to be like a call out? It's like, maybe. So, don't know if I can make an even clearer point than that about, if I even did, about what it would mean for a purpose to only be about your dating or only be about your self-improvement journey and grinding on your path, staying on your path, retaining your seed, as Ice Cold JT will say. I'm not gonna do the lamp thing, if you know what I'm talking about. Not on video, but it's just not me, at least, not yet. Yeah. There goes the last 20 minutes of this video while I'm talking about the title, which just didn't even remotely get around to this point. But I can procrastinate for another 6 minutes and then end the video. But this title, the title of the video being why dating and relationships should at least be your first purpose in life. Okay. So what should the next 6 minutes be about? If I didn't get to that point directly or even at all, well, Why it shouldn't be the last purpose? Why it shouldn't be the next purpose? Why it shouldn't be procrastinated on as a purpose? Let me expand a little bit on the Tamara. No. Let me expand a little bit on Victoria's argument from my other life. So, she does definitely get into. Some people think of it as being marketing material, kind of red pillish, kind of a too on par with like, oh, she's just clickbaiting her videos. I guess maybe too preachy, even the actual content of those videos. She gets a little bit pretty good into the idea of entering your own confidence, which is true for a lot of men, I think. She does get into the idea of some deeper rooted fantasies and preferences being necessary for understanding, even if they're not necessary for being used like that way, but so be it for anyone. What I'll say to back up Victoria is that it's like, so like, yeah, as I said before, and I'll go back to this point again if I can. There are so many times where I'll draw in, I'll manifest this advice from so many sources, like all over YouTube and other places. Like, I'll draw all these videos and all these advice points about why you should be single, why you should be working on your purpose, and like I'm like, how is that possible? Like, is that because it's statistically the majority, or is it just because that's meant for me? Like, is it meant for me to be single and be able to and pursue singlehood and not have to worry about that? But I just, so I would probably try to point out that I happen to be the contrary person who still wants to be dating. And it's like, okay, I'll be single for now. I'll perpetually be single to notice that I did have benefits from either one of those things, either singlehood or dating, which, and I'm not trying to dismay this too much. I know that there's ways to learn on your journey from being single. I'm not saying that you can't learn from being single. That obviously you can learn from being single. Even I'll say that, as confusing as I made this video already. Like, but like you can learn a lot from being single, and you can learn a lot. In my own dismay, there's a lot of other things you can learn from dating, and it's like, it's just But what strikes me with the only advice, or even more than that, maybe, hopefully, advice I've gotten about defending relationships is that there are reasons that even minimalism isn't the point. Like, when you describe minimalism, you describe looking from within. I'm like, yeah, but there are ways to intermix these things. I literally played a game in Credibots, and I was like, okay, I mentioned out of the blue. Okay, I better own up to that. I literally played a Vash game online where the whole point, and I think many of the players of this game missed this point after how they interacted with me on the forums. Not gonna shout that out too much. Maybe I'll make plenty of content about Crabbots in the future, but like including the my experience with it in the forums and all that. But you can look this up in your time. You can look up at Crabbots if you want. But like where Credibots was literally a game where you use a sandbox physics box 2D engine to use these shapes and points and functions to create nearly infinite possibilities. And this was a pretty interesting concept, even if it's cliche as that sounds, for having a starting point branch out into all these possibilities. And I see dating as being like that. I see minimalism as being like that, in the contrary devil's advocate way. I don't believe in minimalism because I'm a pro-materialist, as I said before in this channel, because I think about minimalism as being ideal and strategic for people who may have already been too earthly, too into their possessions, too much into the material real world, even if the objective nature of materialism wasn't the point. And yes, some people like me do lack objectivism. I do need to be more in the reality, but it doesn't mean being materialistic, but it doesn't also mean dismaying too much on what it would mean to debunk minimalism so that I can pursue materialism in a good way, in my own controversial way. And the silver line I bring from being against minimalism to dating relationships is that I think with dating there's a world you can enter that doesn't have to be only a fantasy, doesn't have to only be love is fake. There's a way you can do this where you where you go into these relationships, you not only learn things that you could also learn from singlehood, maybe not too similarly, but there is a beautiful mix and match in these things. Like I just said about Credibots and minimalism. It's like there's a beautiful mix and match you can do with this. You can literally like Maybe this does seem like privilege. Maybe this does seem like luxury of options. I said there's other philosophy videos on this channel. There's other philosophy videos I talked about before. There's so much you can get that I could get into, but it's just not that I got into 25 minutes at least. Rip. So we'll just close for now. I hope you got enough out of that for now. If you can decipher what I just said for 25 minutes, the reasons why dating relationships should at least be your first purpose in life. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, watch my other videos. I make claymations. I make deep documentaries. Apparently, I still do vlogs. OC music. I'll make a playlist about that soon, about my piano music. If you enjoyed this video, do be sure to like it, comment, subscribe, whatever. I have a Patreon. It's mostly for claymations though, even though it has my real name on it. Whatever. Pretty high on the pledges on that video, on that Patreon pledging page. And then last thing I should just say is that this video was very intentional with what it did. It went longer than it needed to be for a reason. It even did what it did with the topic because I'm trying to make an understanding that I think I can help you guys.